In the Brawl Talk of September 2nd, 2023, Supercell introduced Hypercharges. Hypercharge makes super attack and the brawler more powerful. Hypercharge also gives temporary boosts like speed, shield, and damage. And this thing added an extra button to the game and made more possibilities of customizing your brawler. Now you have 2 star powers, 2 gadgets, 1 hypercharge, and many gears to choose for your brawler. At first, this update created unbalance in the game, but slowly everything started looking good. So in this video, I will cover every nerfs and buffs of all hypercharges which are released. When I'm recording the video, total 24 hypercharges are released. Let's start with the update of September 5th. In this update, they introduced first 6 hypercharges: Shelly, Colt, Bull, Spike, Jackie, and Pearl. First, we will see what all these hypercharges does. Let's start with the Shelly. With Shelly's double barrel hypercharge, her super becomes 33% larger. With Colt's dual wielding hypercharge, his super becomes 120% wider. With Bull's jaws of steel hypercharge, he takes 80% less damage while using his super. Spike's hypercharge blooming season makes his super area 20% larger, giving Spike 30% speed, 20% damage, and 20% shield boost. With Jackie's seismic event hypercharge, her super slows down nearby enemies for 1.5 seconds. And now the last brawler, Pearl. With Pearl's pyrolytic hypercharge, Pearl's super leaves a burning area on the ground for a few seconds and gives Pearl 30% speed, 20% damage, and 20% shield boost while the hypercharge is active. After these all, on the October 21st, 2023, we got another Brawl Talk, where they introduced more 6 hypercharges: Charlie, Jessie, Rosa, Lou, Maisie, and Colette. So now let's talk about what these new hypercharges does. With Charlie's Pestilence hypercharge, her cocoon spawns 3 spiders that seek and attack the nearest enemies. Jessie's Scrappy 2.0 hypercharge gives her turret 50% more health, and turret also deals 20% more damage. Rosa's Grasping Roots hypercharge slows down all nearby enemies while her super is active. With Lou's Slushy Storm hypercharge, his super instantly freezes enemies in the area. Maisie's super shoots her basic attack projectiles around her in all directions when her Aftermath hypercharge is active. And last but not least, Colette. With Colette's Teen Spirit hypercharge, her spirit follows her during her dash, damaging enemies on the way. It's like using 2 supers together. And these 12 hypercharges were so broken. But did you know what happened next after this? We got another Brawl Talk and more 6 new hypercharges. In the Brawl Talk of December 9th, 2023, they introduced hypercharges for Leon, Fang, Edgar, Dynamite, Crow, and Miko. Now let's talk about those new hypercharges. With Leon's Limbo hypercharge, he stays invisible while attacking his enemies while using super. Fang can use his super through walls and also drops popcorns on the way when his hypercharge is active. With Edgar's Autoburst hypercharge, he gains supercharging speed and reload speed after using his super for a few seconds. Dynamite's Boomer hypercharge drops smaller bombs after his super. With Crow's Utility Knives hypercharge, Crow's knives are piercing and are returning like a boomerang. With Miko's Sound Check hypercharge, Miko's super also stuns nearby enemies after landing for 1.5 seconds. About a week later, on December 18th, they nerfed the hypercharge of Fang and Edgar. In that update, Fang's hypercharge charge rate was decreased by 50%, and the shield was reduced to 15% from 25%. Edgar's hypercharge charge rate was decreased by 62.5%. But still, all hypercharges were so powerful. That's why they gave another update on February 29th, 2024 to balance these all hypercharges. In that update, they specified that all brawlers' hypercharges duration can no longer be extended. In that update, Fang's damage boost was decreased to 15% from 20%. Fresh Kick Star Power no longer charges his hypercharge. Hypercharge's Popcorn no longer charges his super. And Popcorn damage was decreased to 1440 from 2880. Then they increased damage boost of Pearl's Hypercharge to 25% from 20%. But the speed boost was decreased to 26% from 30% and shield boost was decreased to 5% from 20%. After that they decreased Colette's, Maisie's, and Lou's Hypercharge speed boost to 26% from 30% and shield boost to 5% from 15%. Colt's dual-wielding Hypercharge was nerfed with the multiplier decreased to 35% from 40%, speed boost to 26% from 30%, damage boost to 25% from 30%, and shield boost to 5% from 15%. Bull's Hypercharge was nerfed with the multiplier reduced to 35% from 40%, damage decreased to 5% from 10%, and shield decreased to 25% from 30%. Dynamite's Hypercharge was nerfed with the multiplier reduced to 30% from 40%, the damage lowered to 25% from 30%, and the shield reduced to 5% from 15%. But still it's not over. They also decreased Charlie's Hypercharge damage to 25% from 30%, speed to 26% from 30%, and shield to 5% from 10%. But they increased the charge rate of her Hypercharge from 40% to 60%. Then EDGAR's Outburst Hypercharge received several adjustments. The charge rate was increased by 62.5%, the multiplier increased to 40% from 25%, and the speed boost increased to 24% from 20%. Additionally, EDGAR's Let's Fly gadget no longer charges his Hypercharge, and the damage boost was decreased to 15% from 25%, and the shield boost was decreased to 15% from 25%. It's not over yet. I think they decided to nerf all the Hypercharges on this day. Shelly's Hypercharge was adjusted with the multiplier reduced to 30% from 40%, damage decreased to 5% from 25%, and shield increased to 25% from 15%. Spike's Hypercharge multiplier was reduced to 35% from 40%, damage increased to 25% from 20%, speed decreased to 26% from 30%, and shield decreased to 5% from 20%. Also, Jessie's Hypercharge was adjusted. The multiplier was increased to 60% from 40%, damage increased to 25% from 20%, speed decreased to 26% from 30%, and shield decreased to 5% from 20%. And Miko's Hypercharge got some changes, like speed was increased to 24% from 20% and shield decreased to 5% from 25%. Still, Supercell is not done yet. Crow's Hypercharge received several adjustments, like the multiplier was increased to 60% from 40%, speed boosted to 24% from 20%, but the damage reduced to 25% from 30%, and shield lowered to 5% from 25%. Jackie's Hypercharge saw a reduction in damage to 5% from 25% and an increase in shield to 25% from 15%. And finally, the last change of that update. Rosa's Hypercharge damage was decreased to 5% from 20%, while her Hypercharge speed was increased to 25% from 20%. After these all changes to Hypercharge, they released more 6 Hypercharges in this same update. Cordelius, Buzz, El Primo, Belle, Sprout, and Bibi. Cordelius' Complete Darkness Hypercharge slows enemies in the Shadow Realm. With Buzz's Buzzwatch Hypercharge, Buzz's super resets after each use during Hypercharge. And this Hypercharge was so overpowered, that's why it got little changes before the official release. Now it will not instantly charge super just after stunning an enemy. With El Primo's Gravity Leap Hypercharge, his super impact area is increased significantly, and now it pulls enemies in rather than knocking them away. Belle's super now hones in on enemies just like Piper's gadget with his magnetic Hypercharge. With Sprout's Thorns Hypercharge, Sprout's super now does area damage near the bush. And Bibi got Out of Bounds Hypercharge. With that, Bibi's super splits into 2 after hitting a brawler. After that, on the update of March 25th, 2024, Colette's Hypercharge charge rate was decreased to 30% from 40%. After 1 month later, on the Godzilla update April 25th, 2024, they introduced more 6 Hypercharges, and they also did some balance changes to other Hypercharges. First, let's talk about the balance changes. Rosa's Hypercharge had its charge rate increased to 50% from 40%, but Belle's Hypercharge charge rate was decreased to 40% from 50%. Crow's daggers now return properly after hitting walls during his Hypercharged Super. These were the changes of that update. Now let's talk about the new 6 Hypercharges. In that update, Brock, Sandy, Nita, Max, Jean, and Tick got their Hypercharges. Brock fires more rockets with his super while his Hypercharge is active. Sandy grants himself and his allies 20% increased movement speed while inside the sandstorm. It also silences opponents for 0.5 seconds when it lands. Nita hypercharges Bruce, increasing his size and giving him 15% increased movement speed and 20% increased health. With unlimited energy hypercharge, Max throws an energy drink to each team member, increasing their movement speed and granting them a 25% increased supercharge rate. With Jean's Hyper Hands Hypercharge, Jean's super splits into 3 different hands. And the last Tick's Hypercharge. With that, Tick quickly deploys his head and it follows enemies faster. Also, the super will drop 6 mines after hitting an enemy or destroyed. And that's it. All the history of Hypercharges is covered in this video. This video took a lot of effort, so please like and share as much as possible. Also follow me on Instagram.